Hatep. My name is Atum Hutep Emre Atumreye. I'm a student teacher of the master teacher or our master, Padma Babia Noon, also known as Malachi Cabana York, who've been teaching us information since 1963, 67, on to 2014. You know, my purpose is to teach, answer questions, for our doctrine that comes from our doctrine. You know what I'm saying? Where you be able to learn about right knowledge, right wisdom, right overstanding that leads to sound right reasoning. So if you have any questions, you can go to the microphone, and I'd be happy to answer your question. If I can't answer your question, I'll try my best to get the answer for you next week. So, the floor is open.
Yeah, I got a question. What can someone do to increase their intellect and outelect? Like, for example, if they're taking the sun rays, I hear it strengthens your solar plexus.
Repeat it again.
How does someone go about increasing their intellect and outelect? Like certain things, like, for example, like staying out, getting sun rays and stuff like that.
So you talk about the way, this is what you're saying. You're saying that I'm trying to increase my intellect and my outelect, right, through sun energy.
Right.
That already happens automatically. It's just that you don't have the direct access to it because you're blocked by the spell of the Leviathan. You hear me? Okay. And you're still trapped in persons, places, and things. You got to understand is that when we were created on this planet in this form or this hybrid body, right?
Right.
The beings crossbred us with another species called shaggies that were hairy beings. At one time we had no hair. You hear me?
Right.
So in order for us to transmit and receive sun energy, right? We had to mix our genes in with the shaggies who has 6 ether type hair. You hear me? By us having sun heat genes, anybody familiar with the word sun heat genes? Are you familiar with that? No. Do y'all study Wu-nuwaupu?
Yes.
Okay. Sun heat genes is when you lived on Riss, right? They had 3 suns. So that means that a native skin was absorbing energy from 3 suns. We on a what you call a single solar system, right? Let me go over here. And what happened is, by you being on a single solar system, you needed antennas in order for you to absorb energy. Also, by you mixing it with the shaggies, right? By having you have the sun heat genes, if I took a match, held it up, and I take a piece of straight hair, either it's fur, not even if it's fur from an animal or from a Caucasian, Hawaiian, Mexican, Puerto Rican, Japanese, all these people got straight hair, right? The closer I take the hair follicle and bring it closer to the flame, before it burns, what will happen when the heat hits it?
It'll curl up.
No, before it catches fire, what will happen?
It'll curl up.
It'll start shriveling. You know what I'm saying? And like he said, curl up. You know what I'm saying? So what happened is, because you have that in your bloodstream from your ancestors, the reason why your hair doesn't come out straight is because you got sun heat genes in you. You know what I'm saying? In a book called My Brother's Extraterrestrial, one of the questions on page 137, number 20. So is hair a form of an antenna? Yes, that is an actual fact. Yet because of our black skin, we did not originally need to attract the sun rays. You hear me? It grew out of us, our central solar plexus. The black or negroid being the sun, original offspring as Atumre, a birther of others, the sun feminine or feminine. The sun is a female. Yes, a giver of life. She empowers Nagaro. Nagaro is how we say negroid, with the same powers that she has. The power to be black and produce black offsprings. In other words, your skin is black because, like all existence before, any form of light or fire, you have blackness, darkness, dark material, dark energy, then a black hole. On to the Big Bang, one of many. Why they say in their Bible, Genesis chapter 1, verse 3, their God, Elohim, said, let there be light. The Big Bang out of darkness. So what state was he in first? Darkness. So dark is not evil at all. Evil comes with light, chaos. Where did the Lord, Yahweh Jah, 1 Kings 8:12 and 2 Corinthians 6:1. So darkness, dark, blackness, black is not evil or wicked, another adverse deception by white or light people. You feel me? What are sun heat genes? These sun heat genes in us became a part of the blood that immaculates outward to the skin, and your sun heat genes burned the black skin black, even boil if you're cut. So when you boil, when you're cut, what is it called? Anybody know? You know, when we see the word boil, it means what? To heat something up, to cook it, right?
Yeah.
And it says that, you know, if you get something happen to your skin, or your skin is boiling, it goes into like a bump, something like that, right? But we call it keloids. You hear me? Because you have so much sun heat gene or plasma in your blood that it causes it to what? To boil when you cut yourself, right? Such as keloids that only Nagaros get, an outgrowth, as Negroids heal their skin or in ancient time able to regrow limbs or even shapeshift to grow wings in order to fly, as you see on the ancient Commando Egyptian records. So why is it that Negroids only keloid? Yes, that is why, and there is much more to it. While our Salah race used to cut into the skin tribal scars, and so much that they have been forgotten with the spell of hypnotic amnesia cast on us 6,000 years ago. So all this from sun heat genes. Sun heat genes burn the skin black from green as we rust in color from inside out, transform from green to brown. The more sun heat gene one has, the blacker the person will be. So the blacker the person, the stronger their genes. Yes, that is the actual fact. The blacker the person or being black is being superior or Pu-nuwaup, which is the supreme beings. That's on page 139, 138, and 137 of the book called My Brother Extraterrestrial. Then when you go into the book called Birth for Earth and the Matrix, it breaks down how in order for you to survive on here, they had a scientific term for it, was called CR24 chromium. We say sun heat genes, but when you use a scientific term, you call it CR24 chromium. You know what I'm saying? And how that, let me see if I can find the page what's going on to it. Right here, it's on page 4, number 40 of the Birth of Earth and the Matrix. The Site 24 called Kawat Taha, planet Earth. The blue planet or rock that is protected by the elements CR24 chromium, as are the first world people, the melanated children of Nagaros, Negroids, called Afafre Aka, Africans. The color of or chromium is the key to not corroding their sun-lit genes or sun heat genes, you hear me? Or their chromium, just as Au-979 gold does not corrode, which is the base of their world. The liquid gold or Hg80 mercury found in other elements as the gold in its pure state is 24 karat. It all relates to CR24, and the 24 element would prevent corrosion, unlike the weaker race of serotonin children or hybrids who start to rot and corrode at birth. The Caucasus or Caucasoid, Caucasus Asian, existed in the Negroid gene from CR24 chromium to zinc 30s, you know what I'm saying, and also Mn25 magnesium, CO24 cobalt, and Ni28 nickel, and Cu29 copper. You were born not to rot and die, yet you intermix your divine DNA with those who were only given 6,000 years. That they would, as the sun touches them on the dawn of the new day, rot, corrode, and deteriorate like Dracula, little by the year 2000, 6000 BC. Do you understand that? So, the intellect and outelect is your growth of what you do, because you have to remember that inside one of the books that our master teacher has translated called The Holy Tablets, he was talking about how you was a conscious being that existed in gas pockets, right? Then when you slow down your vibration and start materializing in the physical plane, you became flesh and blood, monate beings. You feel me? So when you came down in that form, this is what you manifest as. Because you don't have contact with the higher outelect, you're still intellect.
Right.
You're in formation. You're not in out formation. Because you only use certain portions of your brain, so you don't get the full, the full effect of the doctrine.
Right.
So you can stand in the sun all day and get a suntan. Ain't gonna make you smarter, but it will make you darker.
Yeah.
But if you was able to be in your full state of mind, you absorb that sun energy. Because you gotta remember that intellect, outelect, information is all vibration, tones, frequencies. That, you know what I'm saying? Knowledge and everything vibrates. And everything goes back into dark matter, dark energy back into dark matter to, you know, what you call the black, total state of darkness. Any other questions? Hi-Tep, brother. How's it going?
Great. Now, I had a question about how it was saying that us can free our ancestors as far as those who passed before us.
Yeah.
Now, how does it work with those who who pass away without kids, or who cross over and don't have kids?
You talk about, give me an example when you say, damn heck, I understand what you're saying, but I want to understand what you're saying.
Let's say my granddad passed away.
Yeah.
Right. And he didn't understand, or he didn't know the doctrine.
Yeah.
And I come along and I understand the doctrine, and I grow into it, and now I'm able to free him.
Yeah.
But let's say I don't have any kids.
Yeah, it stops with you.
Right. So I would just.
It stops, you know, because you'll become. It stopped, like our master teacher, Pt.1 said, right? When a parent doesn't, you know, if a parent has children, their children doesn't have any children, it stops right there. The bloodline stops right there because it doesn't continue.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But if the parents had sisters and brothers, then they still continue to that. You know, the bloodline of the grandmother will still travel through the other children.
Right.
But that particular branch that you call your mother and father, right, ain't going to travel no more. You'll actually be responsible for everybody behind you, because you are your ancestors, because you are the genetic manifestation of your ancestors, because it took them to mix in with each other in order to produce you in 2014. So your genetics has been traveling for thousands of years, and you're the end result of that 1,000 years of traveling genetically, or evolving, what you call evolution. Evolution just means to change. You know what I mean? So your evolution stops right there when you stop evolving and stop mixing in with other people to keep your bloodline traveling. So if you have a child, like our master teacher said, right, then your child will become responsible for you.
Okay. So for those who pass and do not have kids, then they're pretty much trapped if they didn't understand.
How's they trapped?
Well, not trapped, when they cross over.
I see what you're saying.
Free them,
okay, so what you're really saying is if they don't have Wu-nuwaupu,
right,
and they were good Christians, good Muslims, or good Jews, and they never got the doctrine, and they never had no children to pass on their legacy, right?
Correct.
What would happen to them? That's what you're asking, right? This is a question that our master teacher used to ask us years ago. You know, we used to ask him, and he said, explain it like this. He said that they shall be judged by their intentions. Was they a good Christian? Because they're not going to be held at fault of what they don't know. They're not responsible. But once you come into Wu-nuwaup and you start becoming more conscious, then you'll actually become responsible for the things that you do. Because, you know, this is your time. They had their time. Their time is when they was being Christian, Muslim, Jews, or whatever religion. But were they sincere about their religious belief? Did they do right? Because even though we know that the religion doctrines are wrong, right, it still promotes a certain amount of what you call righteousness. Did they treat their fellow man with honor, respect, and dignity? You know what I'm saying? Did they have compassion? You know what I'm saying? Was they sincere about what they believed in? You hear me? Did they do right by others? If they follow all those requirements and were sincere about it, then they will be saved.
That's all.
Okay. Any other questions? This is why master teacher said, go ahead.
All right. I have questions about gravity.
Yeah.
I noticed like that the Earth spins at a certain speed.
Yeah.
Right. So if the Earth was to stop, right, would the polarity of gravity change up or anything like that?
It won't work. By the Earth spinning, it creates gravity.
Okay.
And this is why you're able to stay put. Without gravity, you'll just float. You'll be like in space.
Okay.
You feel me?
Yeah.
What's that word? Centrifugal, you know, the way it spins. This is how it works.
Force.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Got another question. There's a solar plex is the solar plexus, right?
Mm-hmm.
What they call it. Is that considered a part of the human brain or the mind?
The solar plex is the sun in you.
Okay.
Remember I was reading earlier about the sun heat genes?
Right.
And I'm trying to see if I can find where it goes into detail about it.
So my question is on that, is that like a second brain or a second mind or something like that?
First of all, your mind has nothing. Your solar plex and your mind is two different functions.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It's
Right.
energy,
Right.
but it's actually, but they all come from the same source.
Uh-huh.
That's why you understand when you're dealing with vibrations, tones, everything is coming from anything that's in the universe that's existed vibrates.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And when
Right.
something vibrates, it gives off what waves. Waves become tones, tones become frequencies, frequencies become sound. So you're dealing with different levels. And then frequencies or sound becomes light when you keep going up more and more and more. You hear me?
Right.
So light is created from sounds. You feel me?
Right.
When you start vibrating on certain frequencies of sound that goes and start producing light. Because certain sounds will go to such a level that it starts producing light. Light produces what? Heat. You feel me?
Okay.
So when you talk about the mind, your mind is this on the fourth plane, what you call the mental plane.
Right.
This is what you call the mental reservoir. You hear me? Your brain is the receiver of the mind.
Right.
Everything that you do here on the planet Earth, you're recording, but your thoughts are not recorded. Your thoughts are coming from the mental reservoir. The solar plexus is the heat that's keeping you alive, the light in you.
Right.
When you breathe, what you feel?
Heat,
When you breathe in what?
oxygen,
And you give off what?
carbon dioxide,
When you light a match, it needs to, for the match to stay lit, it needs what?
oxygen,
It gives off what?
carbon dioxide.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So why do your body stays at 98.6 degrees?
Right.
When you die, your body becomes cold.
Right.
Why they call this a solar plexus? The word solar means sun.
Okay.
So you have an inner sun. This is like we was reading before. It says how in you had an inner sun. Let me see if we go back to it again. When I was reading inside of the book. Remember talking about the sun heat genes, right? Y'all remember that, right?
Yeah.
Let me read it again. These sun heat genes in us become a part of the blood, and they immaculate outward to the skin, and your sun heat gene burns the skin. So this is the sun that's in you. Because the Caucasian race doesn't have sun heat genes, it doesn't burn his skin dark. You hear me? That's why that when you take in oxygen, right, it goes into your bloodstream, it goes into what you call it goes into the lungs or something. You hear me? And it burns, right? It goes into the blood. And what happens is the sun heat genes inside of you burns it, right? And when it burns it, it gives off a gas. It goes that travels through the body, so you'll be able to breathe. So your lungs actually transform a gas into a liquid, and then your body, your blood transport that oxygen through your whole body. That's why they said if you cut off a certain amount of time, you become brain dead or something. You know what I'm saying? You have a certain amount of time to revive you before you actually become brain dead. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to have that oxygen, got to get to your brain. Right. So when it burns, in the book called The Prison, you have that up there? What? In the prison, it goes into the whole structure of how sun heat genes work. You know what I'm saying? And it breaks down how the way the human body processes, sun heat gene energy and also oxygen. It's the same way that you go into a nuclear plant on how they use nuclear fusion to produce energy. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because what happened is, in ancient times, during the Industrial Revolution, right? When they was dealing with steam propulsion, anybody familiar with that? Steam engines? Yeah. They will use the coal, and they will burn the coal. And the coal that burns inside the furnace will produce a steam or some type of gases that come from out of it that cause the engines to rotate. And this is why the locomotives were able to move. They moved on steam propulsion. You hear me? Right. This is the whole thing we're dealing with the Nikola Tesla movement called steampunk, where they talk about steam propulsion technology. You feel me? Right. But what happened is, over time, they figured out, well, what can we use? Because we're going to have to keep on shoveling coal constantly, which is a fossil, what you call fossil fuels. And we have to keep doing it, and we don't have enough of it to keep doing it. It'll burn out their resources. Because they need it for gasoline and so on. You hear me? So what they did is they came up with, what's that thing is this? I'm not speaking, uranium rods. Where they take these uranium rods and something they do to them, when they close together, they produce heat or a certain type of radiation to radiate them, to light up. You feel me? So what they do is they submerge these rods into salt water. And what happens, these rods burn so hot that it causes steam from the salt water to come up, and the steam from that will pull the generation cause the machinery, the turbines, that's what we're for, to rotate, and they start, and when the turbines rotate and turn like that, the way they hook up the apparatuses, that it causes sparks of energy that produces from it. It's like you take a wind-up toy and let it spin, and it hits against something, and it causes friction. Friction produces heat, produces energy. This is what you call nuclear fusion. You feel me? So in the book called the Prison, on page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, verse 82. The rules of nature is inherent in spontaneous power. Notice, without heat, there is no humanoid life. Life itself is a burning. Understand that now, right? We talk about that burning, right? All life outside of water is a burning, including the life of plants and vegetation. They receive sun rays as their eye through their pores, allowing sun to soak in. This is what you was asking earlier, right? Humanoid receive the sunlight through the eyes. Once activated from the spark of the sun energy, once you open your eyes, this burning or body heat takes place from the solar plexus onto the lungs and blood, and by the breath of life. A person inhales oxygen and exhales carbon dioxide. Carbon is a residue of burning, or atomic number 6 on the element chart as C6. You hear me? So carbon as a residual burning, that is, carbon is a waste of burnt substance or gas. When oxygen enters the lung, it reaches the blood through the breath. When it reaches the blood, and the acid in the blood unites the oxygen and burns it. And that burning is the heat of living energy and life. The burning generates natural electricity, or electrobiological science of electrical phenomenon in living creatures, in the forms of sparks of light impulses in the brain and throughout the body's nervous system. And the blood transmutes the light rays to the brain, then the person is able to think, which is actually what you were saying earlier about that. You know what I'm saying? Link them as mind to the mental form from all thinking comes. To think is to feel, see, hear, taste, smell, and Negroid's 4 higher senses. The burning is spontaneous by nature's rule, and the acid it uses in other forms in the body and brain activates the emotional action and reaction. This relates to Dakasaka. I don't even know how to, DHA, that's what I have to say, because that's the Greek words. DHA, brain nutrients. So this book right here goes into detail about that. Yeah, go ahead. And before you answer that question, did I answer that question for you?
Yeah.
And with that, I'd like to pass the class over to my brother, Atumraye.
Yeah, hats up.
Hats up. My question is about the soul. And what I wanted to know is can the soul be changed, or like what exactly is the soul? Like, you know, I'm just trying to get an understanding of what exactly is the soul.
I got you. Our master teacher, His Excellency Dr. Malachi Kobina York, spiritually known as Pt.1, for many years, he has written many books dealing with the topic of soul and spirit, because we find that in the Western world and throughout the many schools of thought here, many people think they have an understanding or overstanding on what a soul and spirit is. And a lot of times we find that most people's definitions of soul and spirit is based on monotheism, meaning the first introduction of what a soul and spirit is to anybody here, 9 times out of 10 was through religion. And 9 out of 10, if it's through religion, it was either introduced to you through Islam, through Judaism, or through Christianity. And their principle of knowledge is based on faith, you know what I'm saying, and not facts, or beliefs and not faith, you know what I'm saying. So our master teacher, what he has done is he has reintroduced or rekindled our topic with its true meaning, you know what I'm saying. And I say that because in ancient times, before we were introduced, or the concept of religion was forced into our minds, you know what I'm saying, because we wasn't religious by choice, right? When we lived in our ancient land in Africa, before the slave trade, we understood what that was. And back in ancient times, in ancient Egypt, we knew the soul to be as the what? The Ba, that's correct. And the spirit was known as the what? The Ka.
The spirit.
That's right. You have the Ka and the Ba in ancient Egypt. Spirit and the soul, right? Now, before I go into that, let me give you an understanding of what soul and spirit is according to monotheism. And it starts in the book of Genesis when they said that God blew the breath of life into man and man became a living what?
Man.
Thank you. Man became a living soul. But when you go into the language of the scriptures of their Bible, in the Hebrew, you don't find the word for soul there. You find the word for spirit there. You know what I'm saying? It says he blew of his breath into man and he became a living spirit. That's what it really says. But people interchange soul and spirit and really don't know what it really means. So our master teacher, like I said earlier, for many years, right, he's written books like What is Soul and Spirit? In the Holy Tablets, in chapter 7, you know what I'm saying? There's a whole chapter dedicated to what soul and spirit is. And as of recent, we have a book called Soul, Soul, Spirit, Spirit. And I'm going to read an excerpt from that book, all right? Give me a moment. That's correct. Patarak.
I'll give it.
Called Soul, Soul, Spirit, Spirit. And first of all, so people have an understanding, you have two spirits and you have two souls, right? I'm going to write this on the board for you. I'm reading from Patarak, the Revelation of the Wu-nuwaupian, page 1, or should I say verse 1. Likum, my beloved Wu-nuwaupu Kharadu, Wu-nuwaupian children, you ask about soul and spirit. Do you know and remember all I said to you of them, and you as females and males? Wu-nuwaupians, I told you of Ba'ah, soul, and Rawah, soul. So I got that little backwards. Yeah, Rawah. And I spoke to you about the Ka'ah, spirit, and Rawah, and Nafas, spirit, and about Achach, etheric being, and Hu, which is over soul. And you ask again about these parts of your existence, correct? Pa Hu, the over being. Pa Achach, the etheric being. Pa Ba'a, which is the creative expressional being. That would be your soul. The creative expressional being of you. The creative side of you would be your soul, right? Mm-hmm. Then you have Pa Rawah, the breath of the living being. You know what I'm saying? That would be that other soul. That breath that was put into you and is continually going. It's burning. It's that burning. And that's linked to the physical side. Pa Ka'a, the exoplasmic you, or exoplasmic being. Pa Nafas, the living being. And Pa Khatat, which is the physical being. Correct? So those are the three, or I'm sorry, the four. You have the etheric being, and you have the living being. So this is the breakdown right there. And what is the link to all of them? They're all linked to your etheric being. Because you're an etheric being first, right? And like explained in the actual facts called Feeding the Forces, your ancestors look at you from the etheric side as in the position of a dying being. Meaning, let me read that for you to make it clear. This is verse 51 of Feeding the Force. All ancestors reside in the full glory of the soul, Ba, and the Achach, the eternal realm of plane overstanding your dead existence. You call living, yet as there is eternal, They're truly living and you are dead until you are reborn as Ka'ah, which is what?
Spirit.
The spirit, the exoplasmic you, right, to ba'a, which is what?
So
The soul, and then on to achach. And remember, when you're physical, you can go up as high as 9 ether, as a non-etherian being. But on the other side of the living side, not the dead as established here, right? You can go as high as 100% etherian. You understand? If not, I can explain it further.
No, just repeat that. Could you repeat that last what you just?
Yes, this is again verse 51.
No, the last statement you just said. When you saying going into 100%. What was that? I didn't.
Oh no, that wasn't read from here. You know what I'm saying? It was something that our master teacher explained. I was just making it more clear for you. But I'm going to read that to make it clear. Let me just read verse 51 again. Okay? All ancestors who reside in the full glory of the soul, Ba, and on to Achach, the eternal realm. Eternal realm. The Achach is the eternal realm. The etheric realm is eternal. There is no death in that state. You understand?
Two.
Okay. Or plain overstand your dead existence. You call living, yet as there is eternal, they're truly living, and you are dead until you are reborn as Ka'a, spirit, to Ba'a, soul, to Achach, ether. 53. So physical birth is real death, and it is only through the out-of-body experience and near-death experience wherein one is temporarily awakened. It is through trauma, fear, terror, fright into the etheric plane that one comes directly into merged, constatic contact with the family and truly lives for a moment. Yet this fear can also bring pretenders, evil forces who can take the form you wish to see. You know what I'm saying? And that goes into a whole other topic. This is defeating the forces, the actual facts. Because what it's doing here is it's establishing what that state really is, to be an etherian or to be etheric. It is to live eternally. This is why that you only live once doesn't apply to us. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about it is, while being here, we have fell so low to the point that we no longer express our soul. So it takes one called an oversoul who comes every 25,000 years to renew you, to renew us, to restore our soul back, to teach us to express ourselves creatively again. You understand?
Two.
And that brings that life back into us again. It recharges us again. To think as one mind consciously and to become a soul again. Because we fell so low. We fell from 9 on the physical, right, down to 7 and 8, and some of us fell as low as 6, while still having nappy hair and dark skin. You understand?
Two.
So to be a soul, that's the creative expression part of you. That's the soul. This is why our master teacher also taught us in many of the updates, right, that to exercise the will of Panataru is to express your creativity. You know what I'm saying? Work for yourself and utilize your creativity. The Caucasian can't be creative. They have no creativity. This is why they steal from everybody else. They take everything from everybody's culture and make a makeshift culture and say it's theirs, just like everything else. They even had the audacity to steal you, the most creative being on this planet, to build their stuff up, to think for them, to be the first impression when somebody comes into their office. You know what I'm saying? To be the life in the party. They need your soul. They feed off of you. And that's what this book right here goes into, the feeding the forces. I'm going to read verse 45 also. It says this, and this is again feeding the forces. In this regard, it is important to understand that the worship and feeding of our ancestors is a central component of our way of life. This is why it's important to chant. This is why it's important to pray. It's important to meditate and do things together, or to gather, to come together. You understand? To gather together. You hear the play on words. Not flesh or blood of dead animals. That is what lower forces seek. Not us and their ritual practices. Did that answer your question, brother?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, if you have any more questions, that's fine.
Yeah, I asked that question to go into this question.
Okay.
Because I'm gonna try and put this the best way I can.
Take your time.
Well, I got my they say when you get your AEO name, that's what you supposed to live up to that, right? Like that's you supposed to live up to that name that's given to you. Is that correct?
They say you're supposed to live up to your AEO name?
Yeah, like it's given to you. Could you explain what the AEO name is for, or what it's given to us for?
Okay, as a member of the ancient Egyptian order, certain information I cannot disclose, you know, as far as the reason why we're given that name, right? If you listen to the visualization in tones, which most Nuwaupians, including AEO members, have listened to, there's a part that speaks about seeing yourself in greatness. You know what I'm saying? Standing over.
Oh, you talking about the visualization?
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that has a lot to do with it. You know what I'm saying? As far as, it's like this. For many years, we've adopted the wrong kind of names. It was given to us, forced upon us. English names, you know, names of slave masters. So that is a step in reclaiming yourself. But as far as AEO, I can't disclose anything about AEO, why those AEO names, because people are given Egyptian name at birth, and they're not part of AEO. You know, our master teacher hasn't really explained. He's given us meanings to our names, even in that particular book. If you had a child, you had a choice to pick a name, but as far as it linking you directly to a particular deity, you know, that information hasn't been disclosed. Like that's what it is, or whatever the case may be.
Okay, I was just trying to get an understanding of something about it. You know what I'm saying? But
because some people's names actually change, you know, and it's not given to them why it changed. You know, just be. I would say be patient. You know what I'm saying about that. But anything as far as dealing with AEO, I can't disclose that information.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, you know, I thought it was kind of like you know, an open question. You know what I'm saying?
I got you. But as far as we're given this name so we can live up to it, that's not the case.
Okay.
You know, you got to live up to that particular name. What if a brother was named the destroyer of all? Supposed to go around destroying everything? Yeah, I'm just saying, you know?
Yeah, I'm just, you know, from what
I know one brother name is one of good health, destroyer of affliction. So.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get it explained to me so I can have an understanding, because I'm hearing, but I haven't been, you know, I haven't been given a direct
I got you.
answer.
But understand the many names of the deities, they are very powerful, you know, and they're associated with certain elements in nature. They have mastered that, and that became their attribute. They became those particular forces. They became that representatives. You understand? Like the deity of moisture and germination, that was attributed to Tefnut. So when I think of Tefnut, I think about these things. And it also ties into reproduction. You know what I'm saying? You need water to sustain yourself. Paraye, the sun. You know what I'm saying? The most powerful force in the physical world in which we reside in. Because without the sun, none of us will be alive. You know what I'm saying? So that's a powerful attribute, you know, that became associated with that particular deity, and thus became that particular deity in respect. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Time tech. Oh, and tech out that fun anytime.
That's it, brother.
That's up.
All right, we have some online question. The first one is from a brother named Stephen Cole. He asks, he says, if there are different existences within this world in different vibration, do they share our sun, and are they affected by what happens in our vibrational reality?
Well, one thing about our vibrational reality is we're so caught up on the physical that we automatically assume that all things start here and it starts to go higher to different vibration, when in fact it's in reverse, right? For example, when you're dealing with different states of yourself, right? all of it is linked through your consciousness, no matter what. If it's the physical you, there's a consciousness linked to that. The spiritual you, there's a conscious link to that. So if I had an idea or a thought, it first exists on the mental plane of existence, right? And then, let's just say, it's a plain and simple answer right there. I'm a spiritual being and a physical being, correct?
Correct.
So the life force in me, first I think of an idea. The life force in me now begin to express that idea into a particular form, right? I can draw it on a piece of paper. And then I take that same idea and I build it out of physical things. You know what I'm saying? So when you think of it in that particular manner, it starts from higher vibrations and things start to work its way down here.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Exactly. So when you deal with the sun, what you're looking at that's 93 billion miles away is a process that happened. You understand? So it's like this. If I lit a match, right? What does it take to light a match?
Striking it.
You strike it, but before it was struck, what does it take to create that? You know, because I could strike anything. It takes friction. But then when you look at things on an atomic level, there were certain things on that level that had to cause a reaction, right? First, the right components had to be necessary before that spark took place. Exactly, that burning. And then from that, right, you have that flame, the end result.
Okay.
So that burning started already somewhere, right? So our master teacher introduced us to what we call the state of nothing, or the etheric side, right? Back in 1996, when he asked the question, right, where he posed the idea that the intellect existed in the darkness. You had to think to click on the light in the darkness to light up the room. So if you look at the sun in that respect, right, the process started on one side first before it became something on the other side. In fact, there's a whole...
Like existence before creation.
Exactly.
Subatomic level.
One more time, brother.
Subatomic level.
Subatomic level.
Subatomic level is still on the atomic side. Let me do this. All right. This right here represents E1, or the etheric side. And this right here symbolizes this side.
The physical side.
Exactly. So things had to manifest here first. Right? So things had to manifest or exist first on the etheric side, or there's an etheric sun first before
There's a physical side.
exactly the vibration had to slow down to become physical.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Before it manifests as what you see. And then on the physical side, there's a chain reaction. There's a whole process to the sun. Before you have 550 million tons of hydrogen, you know what I'm saying, burning, and then you have that result as it goes through this particular process. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And that is thoroughly explained in the Holy Tablets. If I can find the chapter. Another chapter that speaks about the sun. Yeah, the creation of the sun. I think I'm close to it. All right, we'll try to find that later, and we can post it online as
Okay.
far as the whole process of the particular sun. But I hope that was very clear, you know, especially for those in the audience as well, to understand that. You know what I'm saying? All things exist on a faster rate before they slow down and becomes on this side of things. It's just like vibration.
Okay.
It's like when you throw or drop a pebble in the water, right? The ripples are faster from
The center out.
epicenter. That's right. And as it starts to go out, it slows down in vibration. So think of things in the realm of existence before things were created on this side. You know what I'm saying? Again, existence was before creation. You know what I'm saying? Just like in the so-called Bible, or in the Holy, I'm sorry. In the Bible, you have the word khalaqa, which means to create, and you have the word barra, which means to reconstruct. And that is two very important words, because one is to create something out of nothing. And nothing simply is no thing. It doesn't have a number.
Page 64.
Page 64, thank you. Right?
Right.
And then when you have something, things became to happen. You have to take from things that are here to become something.
In order to make,
Understood?
create.
Okay.
Okay. All right. You want to read that first, or you want to ask the next question?
Give me a moment, please. You said page 64?
Yeah, it's called the creation of the soul.
Okay. I'm going to read from Holy Tablets, chapter 7. I'm going to begin on verse 3. And this is page 64. So he is called the light of the galactical heavens and the planet Earth. This marks a time when the explosion came from combining two hydrogen atoms to make helium, and then the combination of the two gases, which led to a series of chain reactions exploding, and this was the creation of the sun. And an important point here is, in verse 4, it says, this marks the time when the explosion came from combining. It had to take a force to combine these two things together to create that chain reaction.
Okay.
Which means it took an intelligence to make that possible. You know what I'm saying? That takes intellect to make something like that happen, to create a process to create the sun. Let's go on.
Which means it wasn't like the time who said it wasn't by chance, it just happened.
That's Darwinism.
Yeah.
Everything is by chance, you know. That's how they think. How did y'all come about? By chance? No, somebody was in the laboratory making y'all 6,000 years ago. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to come up with the result. So everything just happened by chance, you know, so they could fit somewhere in everything. And no, that's not the case. But let me go on, verse 5. That cloud of dust and gas existed, unformed in the universe, then it began to collapse. This brought two hydrogen atoms together to form helium. Hydrogen, the most and abundant and simplest gas in the universe, is the fuel of the stars, of which there are many kinds. And I'll stop right there for now.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And take Afwan.
Okay, his next
And
question.
with that answer, I'm going to pass the class back over to our good brother Wu-nuwaup Emre Atunraye. You good? Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, Stephen Cole's second question is, he says, what happens to you when you die? He said, I watched the video, Death in the Ethereal Plane. Can you give me a breakdown or some clarity on what happens like when you die?
He said, what happens to you when you die?
Yes.
Talk about your physical body?
He just says, what happens to you when you die?
You gotta be a bit more.
He's referring to some video he watched called Death.